Hi guys, this is Wenzes from Below the Radar Above the System, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the fact that a lot of us say, well, I'm always powerless, I cannot assert myself, I don't know how to act around others, I always want them to think that I'm a nice person, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and so on. And that we define ourselves through these things and we say we can't be changed, but all the studies that have been in the, I don't know what kind of field it is, but I've read a lot about that, is that, you can change your brain and you can change all those habits you have, because this is what it is in the end. It's habits. And we also know that habits over time really become who you are. So if you have a habit of working out every day, you'll see it in that person. That person will have more energy throughout the day, and they will, conquer and attack life in a different way. See, this is an area of my life where I really need to do more. I know that I could have so much more energy. I could be so much more vital if I would just kind of run a little bit from time to time. I work out, but it's very on a very low heart frequency, I think you say. I don't really start sweating a lot or anything, and I know this would be good for me. Those are the positive aspects, but what I'm really now talking about is being powerless, being passive, thinking that you don't have the right to think about yourself, that you have to always be nice to others, that you have to prove that you're good. There's so many aspects we've talked about throughout the videos that you can probably just write them down. It's not even that much. So let's say we're gonna tackle a couple of them. First off, if you have an altercation or somebody wants to do something and they ask you you have some kind of problem, that you don't back out. That you don't use that tactic, because it's the one thing is a defense tactic as much as the other. So let's say you get in an altercation, a verbal altercation, and then there's some people who make their needs more important than everybody else's. They tend to have those superiority kind of things going on, and this is also a problem of not having good ego boundaries. But in the end, it is as much of a problem of ego boundaries as somebody who goes into the other direction, which means we go in our shell, we don't want to talk with others, we just kind of distance ourselves to a point. And both of these things are, as I said, problems with ego boundaries. And this is, let's say, who we are at that moment. So you get in a situation that one person says, what do you want to watch? What kind of movies you want to watch? And I want to watch this. I definitely want to watch this. So, and you don't want to get into a fight because it's annoying to you. So, and you don't really care. So, so what do you want to do? Okay, this is a very, very easy example. Don't do that. Really easy as that. Every time somebody asks you for your opinion, make it a habit to have an opinion. Just do it. Think about, okay, if I would have to choose between those movies and I had nobody tell me what they want, what would I choose? What would I want to go to eat? What kind of job would I take? What kind of clothes would I want to wear? Where would I want to go? What would I want to do? And it can also be a choice of, I'd rather want to be alone by myself, or I want to be and go to eat. This is such a, it's an easy example, but it goes through all our lives. And this is a typical INFJ kind of reaction to come from that space of, I really don't care, do what you want. It's just not that important to me. And this is not who we are. This is what all those studies have shown. And if you look at yourself, I'm pretty sure you've changed throughout the last 10 years. So the person I am today is not the person I was 10 years ago. And this happened because I changed my habits. You do change over time, and change is good. You become more and more of who you want to be, what you're comfortable with, and you find ways to live within the society and with your friends and coworkers or whatever, which is good for you. And when I say good for you, it's not from a narcissistic kind of point of view, but also from a way of, I can deal with my moral issues this way. I can live with my choices, because Another problem of ours is this thing of, well, I feel like a bad person since I know that that person is hurting. I know that they're being defensive because they have some kind of problem, and I can feel their pain. I'm a bad person if I think about myself at that moment and not about them. Also, this is a completely natural thing. This is an area we come from, but you can change that habit. You know, logically, it's not good for the other person if you do that. It's not good for you. And trust me, if you work towards that, if you kind of always assert yourself, you learn to assert yourself, you learn to say, well, okay, that person has some kind of issues, but that is something I cannot fix for them anyways. The only thing I can do is, have healthy boundaries, have a healthy life, lead through example, and then help others in a way that has no effect on my social well-being. Okay, this is a question of habit. You do it the first time, you kind of hate yourself. You say, nobody's ever gonna love me, I'm not lovable, there's nothing worth about me because now I'm not doing anything for that one person. Why would they like me if I don't do anything for them in that way? But people are not supposed to like you for what you do for them. They're supposed to like you for who you are, for what you do for yourself and then for others. That's how it is. You like people, you love people without them doing anything for you. Actually, you even like them when they're doing bad things to you. And on top of everything, sometimes people even get, they like people more. It's easier to like people if you can do something for them. I think this is why we also always try to help people and so on, because once we do that, we kind of feel it helps us to kind of like be open to liking that person because we feel, oh, we're giving something to them. They're in, there's some kind of control you try to gain through that as well. If you're trying to, do something for other people that they should be doing by themselves and that you think, oh, I have to do that because nobody else is going to do it for them. There's some kind of dependency happening there. And, in certain degrees, this is going throughout our life, and this is a good thing also. I mean, we are interdependent. We do things for society, and we do things for, bettering how our friends are feeling, how our family's feeling, how, every kind of active statement you make about this is not right and look at this, we should change something about this, even if it was something like, I don't know how to change it, but listen, this is not okay, and I want to make it, I want to talk about it because I want us to kind of like figure something out together. Every time you do that, you create some kind of, you put your energy out and you create that there's some kind of dependency within each other. But, as a lot of studies have also shown, part of us is just really duality, meaning there is an interdependence, and it's a good thing. But the difference is that, all those points that we talked about, that you kind of make it a habit not to do them. And as I said, so first off, we said if every time somebody asks you what you want to do, what you like, and so on, make it a priority to kind of state your opinion. Always think about, okay, I don't care, but if I cared, what would it be? You do that for half a year, and you're like a different person. And then you start to kind of like share with people what you think, even when you think, okay, well, people don't really care. And then you will realize that actually people will not see the world the way you see it, but the fact that you show them also your perspective changes everything within theirs, because it opens up something, a way of looking at life that they didn't think was there. It opens like their worldview just by you telling your truth, living your truth, talking about those things. And that's a habit. Make it a habit to tell people that. And make it a habit to not save people in that kind of way. If people are being self-destructive, if people are being, acting like in self-destructive ways, don't get yourself pulled into this. It doesn't help anybody. Somebody who's self-destructive will keep on this course until they can, until they have no other choice but to change. And this is not because those people are evil, and if that person was good, they would do it differently. That's just how our mind is wired. I've done self-destructive things, as in martyr kind of things, and I've done it to such an extent that I just had no choice because my pain was so big that I had to change. And people who are kind of like being mean and trying to like push their anger onto you, they have those same things. So habit number 2 is don't let that happen. Somebody's being negative, I don't care what it is. I don't care if they're complaining about, their weight, or complaining that they have no friends or anything. But if they kind of like project those feelings and always kind of like put it onto you as if you're like their psychological garbage can, no. You say a cut. You said, listen, I'm not gonna listen to you. I'm not gonna hang out with you. I'm not gonna have that. And if you say that way, and really make an impact, people really get it. Like, I was surprised how much of like this FE thing I actually own. How good I am at it, that when I really care, I can make people really feel about how much I dislike what they're doing. And they change because they kind of feel that pain within them, and then they have to adapt just so they don't feel that pain anymore. So these are, for example, also habits. Another habit is that if you feel sad or if you feel powerless, that okay, well, I have to do something. Have a habit of something that will make me feel better. Although right now it doesn't feel like this. Listening to positive music, listening to upbeat music, things that will get your mind up, things like this. And so I often think about if somebody writes me and they say, listen, I'm always nice. I want people to think that I'm nice. I want people to think that I'm a good person, and I cannot hurt them because then I would be a bad person, or all those things, and then you don't want to assert yourself because people would leave you and all those things. There are a lot of reasons why we feel this way. Most of them, as studies have shown, come from childhood, things we've experienced and we haven't really brought to an end. But you can't change that by applying those habits. Although it doesn't feel like this, you do it. And I used to think about this and I never really understood it, because you've heard people talk about it. You've heard people, you need those habits and you need to do that, and even if you don't feel like it, you go and work out, for example. Well, this is a different thing. What I'm talking about is, your reality at that point is different, and then you kind of decide against it. So let's say your reality right now is you live in New York. You really do live in New York. Everything around you shows you that you're in New York. You feel like you're in New York. There's, no kind of feeling or thing that says that you're not in New York. But logically that this is just an illusion. Logically that, you're not supposed to have it a goal for people to think that you're nice. You know for a fact that it's not your goal for people to think that you're a good person, or it's not your goal to save that one person on the cost of your well-being. It's reality that those things are happening, and this is how it feels like this, but you logically know it's different. Like, let's say you're that Matrix kind of world. Maybe something like this helps. You see the street, you see everything, but logically this is just an illusion. And your task is to follow your habits and to do all those things I'm talking about and everything you learn here, and to adapt it actively, because even I, who really reads about this daily and talks about it and actively tries to change something about this, I get into those things that from time to time I feel powerless. I feel like, well, what's the point? I feel these things happen. I feel like, well, I'm stuck. These things will happen to every one of us over and over again because we're human. But the difference is that we don't stay there. We don't stay at that place. We stay there for half a day, maybe a day, sometimes maybe even 2 days, where you just kind of say, I can't really do actively the work. But then you get enough sleep, you get enough sleep for maybe 2 days, you kind of like lay down, and then you start the work again. Because this is your task. This is what makes you feel better. This is the truth. And because once you do those habits, you really do feel better in the long run. You will, it'll be very hard in the beginning, but in the long run, you're doing what's better for you. The definition of discipline is just doing what you want the most instead of what you want right now. So always think about that. Understand those habits. Follow those habits. Make sure that you create the best environment for you to make yourself feel better so you can really give more, be more, experience life, be more present. And it's just a matter of habits. Stop telling yourself, well, I'm powerless, I'm weak, I'm always passive. No, this is a habit of yours. You incorporate everything. You can be an asshole, you can be a princess, you can be a saint. We can be everything. And the fact of this is how we kind of like learn to be in society because of, everything that happened in the past. We thought for the longest time we were that kind of person. But, as I always said, it's not about, finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. So if you don't want to be powerless, if you don't want to be weak, if you don't want to, and when I say be weak, I mean feel weak. If you don't want to feel powerless, if you don't want to feel like, less worthy of somebody else, because this is, actively, a conscious choice you're making, then you start, changing your habits. And changing habits changes your life. So never underestimate the power of habits. Understand that everything you do is just a matter of habits, nothing more. I've seen people change completely from one direction to the other. I've seen people change from, being completely passive, being very codependent, being, everything in that area, and then changing to a self-assertive person. And I've also seen people who were overly aggressive, overly dominating, who weren't respecting other people's boundaries and all those things, to becoming one of those people who actually always want to do something for others and want to, help society to a higher level and have found an inner peace that was probably, not thought possible in the beginning. And these things happen because those people changed their habits. They understood that they cannot keep going like this. They have to change something, and then you change your habits. You do what you need to do in order to get what you need. You change your lifestyle, you change the people maybe you're around, you change all those things I was talking about, and you keep doing that, and then you'll see in 1 or 2 years how you feel. And I promise you, if you're the one of those people who've been watching these videos from, like, say 2014, who's been in the group, who's seen what we're talking about and so on, I'm pretty sure most of us have changed. I think the fact that we kind of like keep talking about these things and talking the way we talk about them and have like a one direction that we're going, because there are other groups who are like, poor INFJ, nobody understands me and so on. And we're very different from that. We're really the ones who want to say, okay, yeah, maybe this is true, but we're not going to concentrate on that, because where your attention goes, their energy flows. And I don't want to think about those things that are, a weakness, that I feel are a weakness in me or so on. I can accept that, but I want to do something that will make me feel better. And so the ones who followed this, who've gone through this, the fact that things change for you are because you had that habit of always confronting yourself with those thoughts, listening to videos like this and of other people who are not, they don't have to be INFJs, but who kind of like give that assertive energy, and they make a point of elevating you, So it's up to you to really change your habits. Don't think I'm this or I'm that. This is a habit. Think of it as a habit, and a habit you can change. But you have to actively do it, although it doesn't feel like this. If you want like something to think about or to understand it, think of the matrix as in, I see the street, but I know I'm actually not in the street. And develop that and keep on going like that. And you'll see that you will feel better. It'll happen because next time your matrix kind of or like when you think you're in New York, if you keep on doing those habits, this New York place will look much more like your real life, like your real matrix or whatever it is. Just like, you know, the reality you create will be more and more in tune with what feels good to you. And this is the goal, because there are people we see day in day out that seem so happy and fulfilled with their lives, and we kind of also want to be there. We want to, you know, feel good about ourselves one way or another. And so we have to change our habits and then change into the person we want to be. Okay, thank you for watching. I wish you a great week, and talk to you next time.